Catching up with Sarah and Ginny, fueled by laughter and insights aplenty. Curiosity, connection, and learning that sticks. Real talk, real lives with practical tips. Welcome to Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny. Come on in.
Hello, Hywel, and welcome to Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny. How are you, Hywel?
I'm all right, thank you, and thanks very much for having me along.
Look, you're not at your nan's. Thank you. It's like going to your auntie's, and thank you very much. And I know I must eat whatever I'm given, even if it's very strong hot orange squash.
Do you know what your household was like, Ginny? Jeez.
You've clearly met me nana.
You've had that, haven't you, when you've gone to a great auntie's or something? And, you know, I used to have the look from my mum, which was like, you just drink the very, very undiluted orange squash that's hot, and you smile, everybody, and you eat the
Everything.
cake, even though we know you don't like cherries or almonds.
But we had the family holdback, which was a bit different. Was basically you'd get the look if don't have any more roast potatoes, because there aren't enough roast potatoes for everyone around the table, so you won't eat them all. Yeah.
We had my Auntie Dillis, who was about 150 years old. We'd go to her house, and her house was in the side of a mountain in North Wales. It literally was built into the mountain, and she would shuffle off. And she was a genius and brilliant. She'd shuffle off to the smallest kitchen and pantry area in the world, and she would manage to rustle up really, really hot tea that was purple. You know, it had so little milk in it. It wasn't purple. You know what I mean? It was really, really dark, and just leaves. So my dad, he'd like take a gulp, but he learned quickly not to drink the end, and he'd said to us, "Don't drink to bottom. Don't drink to bottom," because there'd be about a quarter of an inch of leaves.
Don't drink to bottom. See, isn't
Don't
that
drink to bottom.
and I think we could. I mean, that's a lesson for life, isn't it? But isn't it interesting because we, like my mum would say, you drink the undiluted hot orange squash. It's left a mark on me, hasn't it? My mum was like, you drink it all.
I mean, there's no trauma there, Ginny, is there?
Pardon?
There's no trauma there at all, is there?
No, not at all. Not at all.
Anyway, we've already digressed, and we haven't even got to the please introduce yourself bit, have we? So let's get back on track for now.
Okay.
Whew. Right, Hywel, please introduce yourself.
My name is Hywel Roberts. I'm a teacher, writer, speaker, and I travel around going from school to school, sharing Botheredness, which is also the title of my book. It's the name of my website and all that. It's basically what I do. How do you get kids bothered about rivers if they haven't got a bed? How do you get them to care about Romans if they're ages ago, as a child pointed out to me? And in fact, that same child said, why don't you like Romans? And he said, I can't be doing with them, he said, which cracks me up. So I taught for a long time in secondary, and then I went to do a bit in special, and that's where I started working with primary age children. So I freelance now, and I just crack on, really trying to have an impact.
I love it.
Love
I
it.
love it. How and yeah, you have a major impact. Yeah, your work's fabulous. Recommend your
Thank you.
books, all of
Thank
them.
you.
Brilliant. No. Okay, so within all of the stuff that you do you have a wow moment that you'd like to share with us?
Well, I think there's a couple of things, because the wow moment for me was as a young teacher and realizing that there was another way to deliver stuff. And I didn't know what pedagogy was. No one had ever said anything about that to me. And I was just cracking on with bottom sets in Barnsley in South Yorkshire, teaching them English literature. And I learned a lot about motivation, behaviour management, but I didn't know what to call those things. I just thought it was getting by, almost like surviving and coping. And then when I could handle that bit, I then got exploring. And I think it was that realisation that to get autonomy in a class for yourself, you just have to get through some bits. You have to get through the barrier, if you like. There's a pain barrier with some kids that you just have to get through, because you need them. If you can't manage your class, if you haven't got rapport, if you haven't got a personality, that's a challenge for you, and it's something you might have to work on for yourself. But then in a class, I just found it wasn't enough just to stand there and read a book to them, because they'd switch off. So the wow moment for me as a young teacher was realizing that I needed to do more, and actually not just glue myself to the front of the classroom, but actually be alive, mobile, and also have some empathy and compassion, even when children could be very challenging and difficult, but you've still got to see them the next day, and or certainly at that time you did. And there was no one coming to rescue me with a walkie-talkie and a high vis and brown brogues. It was absolutely, you were on your own. And that was a wow moment then. And is it all right if I carry on telling you about my wow moment now? The wow moment now is when I work with staff. I work with teachers sharing the pedagogies, which is mainly storytelling and drama and motivational stuff, drama tools that we've forgotten about. Sharing that stuff with staff who might be skeptical, and it's all right to be skeptical in education, because there's a lot of stuff that I would say is sometimes unhelpful, but is purported to be the answer. Now it's doing the staff training and then going into class and modeling it for the teachers. They observe me with their kids. And when that happens, it's a wow moment for us all, I think, because I'm just relieved generally that the stuff works. I trust the pedagogy, but it's great to see the staff feeling like, oh, actually, this is something that can help me in my practice. They're already good teachers, but just another thing for the toolkits, So there's 2 wow moments there.
And I mean, I've seen you speak, I've seen you live, I've seen recorded webinars that you do. And it is that kind of the confidence that you give in terms of this is just being real, bringing things to life. I talk a lot about bringing print to life, and it's like learning is tricky.
Yeah.
And we've all got to get through the trickiness, whichever bit of it, whether it's trying to work out how we can get the information across, or whether it's about how do I make sense of this? And you do that brilliantly, and I think they're brilliant wow moments. Love those.
Thank you.
And I think in education, as the wonderful Ken Robinson said, people can get on the treadmill, the treadmill of getting through the work, the treadmill of worksheets, and actually, it's about. Is it about giving permission? Is it about? I think from what I get from your wonderful talks, it's about giving permission. I'm doing it. I'm going into your classroom, and people's shoulders must go down, and they go, I can do that, and actually I've been given permission, would you say?
Yeah, I think it's funny because I've spent a lot of the time I've been freelance for a long time, but it was very important for me, like you, to stay working with children and keep it real, keep it real and informed. And what's happened over the years is leaders and leadership, if you like, have become more interested in my work, because they see that they're hardworking practitioners, they're teachers, that these quality professionals sometimes need a boost, sometimes need a bit of oomph. And when you've got government, if you like, who are in charge of what we do, the department, if they're changing their minds about things, you get a change of governments, a priorities shift. Teachers are just there, aren't they? Just caught in the wash of it all. And so to try and get some consistency around practice can be quite hard. What I'm finding now is when I'm talking to leaders is they really want their teachers to be, if you like, autonomous and making their own decisions and stuff. And this is one way. There's no magic bullets, is there? We know that. But this is one way where that can be helpful.
Yeah. And I think it's re-energizing staff.
Absolutely.
Yeah, energy levels can be a little bit low. Like when you were doing this, it's like people are pulled this way and that, but actually having that message coming from leaders to the
Mm,
staff, that is
mm.
permission giving, isn't it? So, I mean,
Yeah,
it's just so refreshing. You've been doing
Yeah.
it for a long time, but actually it is about a whole school doing it, because sometimes we go on a course, don't we? We go, oh, I've seen
Yeah.
all this happening, and then
That's a
we
good
try
idea.
and do it, and then we try and tell other people. But actually, to have the whole school means everybody gets the same message at the same time and can ask the same questions, I guess.
yeah, and it's that thing about educational fashions. 25 years ago, if we were doing this, we'd all be talking about creativity and special school, titles. I was in a performing arts school, for instance, and specialism, but there were science colleges and stuff like that. So 25 years ago, we were all talking about creativity, and then I felt, and I don't know if you felt this, and if listeners have felt this, but there was a time when suddenly I would feel like I was manning a sort of outpost where I'm just talking about my thing and I'm not sure if anyone's with me. But then and then you do find people are agreeing with you and do want to carry on being autonomous, having that autonomy and so on, and having that permission. You've got leaders who always want to give that permission.
Yeah.
I think what a lot of pressure has come on from it, the kind of the myth of expectations from leadership, where actually teachers, and I'm include myself in this, where I think they won't like this. I'm not sure if I should be
Yeah. Yeah.
doing it, but actually the leaders do want them to do
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and come on, let's get some oomph. Let's
Yeah.
teach Romans with some pizzazz rather than just a PowerPoint. The
Yeah.
PowerPoint's fine, it's
Yeah.
great as long as
Bring
you
it to
made
life.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. To
And
bring the information.
stories help with that.
Yeah.
Storytelling, stories. If we're not storytellers as teachers, then what are we? Are we just deliverers? So that's it.
I remember seeing you speak, and you were doing about the Fire of London, and you kind of,
Yeah.
in a lovely way, lure your audience in.
Yeah,
When you say, kind
yeah,
of, oh, what's that? Oh, and it's just that children are kind of intercepting what they think is going to happen, and they're in the moment, and it's just energizing. I think that's it, Sarah,
And
isn't
yeah,
it? The whole thing is
and I think
energizing.
the good thing about all of that is the teachers and the staff feel what the children are going to feel. And I think we've forgotten a little bit, because a lot of our learning maybe is a bit more taking information in, a lot
yeah,
of information at different
yeah.
times. You don't actually get to enjoy learning. You know?
And
Yeah.
there's a key thing, Sarah. It's
Yeah.
it's that thing about enjoyment,
Yeah.
and I think
Fun.
it's almost like I'm whispering it because it's a dirty word. That just I'm going to use the F word now. Fun.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I always say it
and
fun.
and, and, I,
Yeah.
and I'm talking about it from a teacher perspective. Am I
Yes.
actually okay? There's parts of the day that aren't fun at all, and I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy doing me duty outside when it's raining. I don't enjoy having to, as I was in a school last week, and I'm being, seriously, I was in a school last week where they really are having to do oral hygiene now with year 2 and 3 and really get the kids brushing their teeth. And I think as a year 3 teacher, that ain't going to be the high point of my day. I'm not sure it's a high point of anyone's day. However, we realize it's a necessity now. And, so we've got to take the rough with the smooth. I would suggest, and this is just an example, when we're teaching history, for example, in year 1 or year 6 or year 9, when we're teaching history, that there should be pockets of joy in that, where actually
Yes.
just through the process of thinking
Mm,
and learning
Yeah.
mm.
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
Yeah.
teaching.
absolutely.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it. I'm
Mm.
loving it.
So, Howell, if
Right.
scent were a song, what would
Yeah.
it be and why?
Well, I really love this question because I love music music's a really really important part of my life. And with the Botheredness book, I created a Spotify playlist of music and a YouTube playlist of movies film music and all that, and movie trailers. I really love drinking up music, and I play music and stuff. So that was quite a hard question, but it didn't take me long to drop on 2 songs. And the first, I know I shouldn't do 2, but I think you said I could.
Yeah, we did. Gave you
Yeah.
permission.
Oh, and I don't know if you'll know these songs, so I don't know if you're just gonna give me a blank look. But, I'm from Manchester originally, and a big band for me growing up, or when I was in my, late teens going into my 20s, is a band called James, who sang "Sit Down."
Yeah.
And now "Sit Down" is not my song, although it is appropriate for a teaching teaching arena.
Yeah.
The song is "Sometimes," and it's a song called "Sometimes," and here's the chorus: "Sometimes when I look deep in your eyes, I swear I can see your soul." And I think that there's something beautiful in that around how we can be as teachers and how we aspire to be as teachers, where we're looking kids eye to eye and we're really knowing them. Even if we're in secondary and we only see them for an hour a week, we can still be the warm adult, the warm demander with high expectations, but high relational stuff. So "Sometimes" by James, if you don't know it, it's a beauty. And the other one, just because of the first line of it, is the Manic Street Preachers' "Design for Life," where the first line is "Libraries gave us power." And one of the worst things that's happened over the last 20 years, I would say, is the lack of access to reading books beyond school, and the oasis of the library in communities that need them. I think when they're putting these housing estates up, as well as a GP, as well as a pub, because I love a pub, they should put up a library. And those are my 2 songs.
Oh, I love those. I love both those songs. I think that's brilliant, brilliant. And I think everyone says that they like this question. It really gets
Yeah,
people to think
it's
a
a
lot
good one.
about
Yeah.
different things. So no, fantastic. And I think the final question within that now is a book. Is there a book that you'd like to
Yes.
recommend?
My favorite, well, there's recommending books, and there's just my favorite book. My favorite book is "To Kill a Mockingbird" by Harper Lee, and I've
Oh.
probably talked about that a lot. I think I've mentioned it in all the books I've written. It's just it was a book I read for myself. I was never taught it. I just read it for myself, and I absolutely loved it. And there was a recent stage production. I think it's still touring. I went to see it, and it was absolutely brilliant. Aaron Sorkin adapted it, and he did a perfect job. I've seen it twice on the stage, read the book and loved it. And as a family, we used to sit and watch the film a lot. That and Kes, which was based on the book
Oh.
A Kestrel for a Knave by Barry Hines, an English teacher in Barnsley, which
Oh.
20 years after he was doing that, I was teaching that book in the same town. And so there's 2 books. I've cheated again. I've pulled
We'll
the wool
let you.
over your eyes. But I love those books because they both tell us about what it's like to be a child, and they both tell us what it's like to be a good adult. That's it.
Tell you what, both of those recommendations are fab, and so we're getting our book list together
Yeah,
with these on. But I think that's really important as well, because part of kind of thinking about with music, the one thing with the songs you were saying there, it's about making you think about the lyrics, making you think about education, making you think about what our role is. And
yeah,
with your books, the same thing. Like, we're there, we've got a really important part to play, and
yeah,
so let's do it well. Let's kind of be you know autonomous, be using all of our
yeah.
skills. We all go in it to make a difference.
Yeah, and seek out wisdom, because we have had a bit of a wisdom drain in education, I think it's fair to say. And so it's seeking out the pockets of wisdom, the person in, if you're lucky enough to still have a staff room, having, chatting to the people who are much older than you or much younger than you, and thinking about what they do to keep ticking over and keep their mojo polished. And what are they doing to keep happy and joyful in the classroom? And yeah, that's what a lot of my work is about. And sorry, that was just something falling over just down. I don't know if you heard that. Um,
I love it. Hope it wasn't your Jaws mug
they want me Jaws mug. No,
or the bottle of Baileys.
no, it was a Yeah, it was That's My Jaws mug. But yeah, it's sort of seeking out the wisdom where you can, which is why the work that you do is so important with your wisdom to share. And I feel like we're all kind of just doing the best we can to keep people going, really, and keep people motivated.
And I think that keeping people going, keeping them motivated is key. And and you just hit on something there. And I've been doing a lot of work trying to look at how we can share what we do well with each other, or the
Yeah,
things that we like doing. Like, just when I've seen you talk, it's like as you said, Ginny, it energizes you to go, oh, I can do that. Or maybe I can't do it like that. I'm not quite a good storyteller, or kind of, but actually there's bits of it you can pull out, and you see it and then you do it. But we haven't got enough of that in education at the moment. I think we haven't got enough of, this is what we do well in our school. Let's just share that with each other, rather than, oh, you got to do this differently.
yeah. I think. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I think you're dead right. And I think, I think a lot of good trusts in England, for example, but I think there's a lot of good trusts in England that are waking up to that, and and they're actually seeing that actually the teachers need to have. It's quite good at leadership. I think we've been quite good at getting the leaders together across schools and across trusts. It's kind of getting the teachers. We used to do it, didn't we? We go to a Holiday
Yes,
Inn and get a bacon butty, and then
yes,
I'll sit there
yeah,
talking about good books
yeah,
and reading,
yeah,
and those conferences, and maybe there isn't the money to do that anymore, and the time, and we need the teachers in school, so it's hard to let them out. And have we got decent supply teachers that can come
yeah.
into,
Come in,
it's 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 hard, isn't it? I think it's tough. If you're a leader, it's really hard and tough to
work
make
out. Yeah,
great
work out how
decisions.
to.
Yeah,
I think there's so much around money and such like that. If we go back to reading and the fact that the two books that you've chosen are so important to you, and as a class teacher, I know my job share and we consciously took away probably 75% of the books that were in our bookcase, because 75% of them we hadn't read. We didn't know if they were quality text. So we said, we're going to do this, and we use the word trial because that's always a good word, isn't it? Oh, we're going to trial it. So we took out 75% of the books. So the books that we had in the bookcase, we had both read. Now that you might go, and no, that is really
no,
important.
it's
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and so
important.
we have these books
yeah,
You've
that
got an
we'd read,
opinion.
and I frequent Waterstones, and those books that are on that table that are the latest books, and we would be buying them ourselves. We read them, then we put them on a kind of a shelf so that you could see the front of them, and we said we've read these, and then there became this wonderful kind of dialogue,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
and we put sticky notes in with questions, and oh, it was so lovely because the children would be
yeah,
quiet reading, but then they'd come up and go, I'm going to tell you about the answer to this question. So it became really fulfilling by taking things away, and streamlining became a wonderful dialogue of children coming to this. And then Belinda, she would have read the same book as Brian and I. So we had these great conversations. And it's just sometimes I think about stripping things back and then having these conversations from a point of kind of joint knowledge, I guess.
yeah, yeah. I think so, and I think it's important that I think it's important that that I think it can broaden out from reading as well. If we're
yeah,
teaching rivers, we need to know what are the
yeah,
stories of rivers. If we're
yeah,
teaching, just thinking of primary curriculum, really. If we're teaching caves, or the Stone Age, which is sometimes quite a tricky one, how do we bring that to life without it turning into empty chaos? Of And I'm talking about there's two ends of the spectrum, isn't there? There's one end is death by PowerPoint, a kind of death ritual. And then at the other end of the spectrum, there's that empty creativity where the kids are having a brilliant time, but
yeah.
no one's learning anything. So it
And
means
it's
that
not
we as
linked. Yeah,
yeah, and we as teachers then have to be discerning, but to be
yeah,
discerning, we have to be informed.
yeah,
So yeah, we can't just read along with the kids. I don't think I ever did that. I'm proud to say I don't think I ever said, "Oh, I've got to teach this. I'm
yeah.
going to read it with them."
While you're
I
doing
think
it.
we need to do it. I think I've thought of another book that was really powerful actually in class, because the other two books were in class, but they were kind of coming from me. Was The Arrival by Sean Tan was a
Oh,
big
great one.
that was a
Yeah,
big wow. That was it's cutting across
yeah,
all the questions really,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it's a book. Obviously, it's a book without words, and your listeners are probably familiar with it. It's now a bit of a classic, but it's so powerful because it's about communication. So I could teach it in drama, and I could also teach it in English, and it
Yes.
invited us to be creative. And it also touched, I mean, it's so powerful today when it touches on the themes of othering and, not trusting people who are different to you from different parts of the world. It's really interesting, and how challenging it is for people to find themselves in a country they don't know.
Yeah. Tell you what,
Yeah.
well, Hal, as ever, we've had just a few snippets of bits of information there. Fabulous. Ginny, wonderful.
I think it comes back to flipping it, going, actually, am I enjoying this lesson as a teacher? Actually, if I was a student in my class, would I be enjoying the lesson? Because if the answer is no, then maybe we need to have a little bit of a rethink of it, because school days can be very long, can't they?
Yeah.
They can be long days, even if we have snippets of joy, even if we have small amounts of joy amongst everything else.
But
We
the
need
problem
to
is, I
be,
think it all takes time. It all
Yeah.
needs time. It needs time for you to reflect back on, oh, I didn't enjoy that. Because actually,
Yeah.
that lesson's gone. You're now onto your science lesson. You ain't
And
got time to think whether you enjoyed that history lesson.
no, and that's the whole nature of and in 20 in the coming year we've got I've edited a book, or I'm in the process of editing a book about what joy is in schools,
Yes.
and I know that you've contributed to that, and it's kind of try and the thing about joy, it is elusive and it is
Yeah.
difficult to pin down,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's something that's gone before you've realized it was there. I think
And
that's
it's
true of
different for each of us.
yeah, it's just being human, and so that's a bit of a plug actually for that.
I love
But
it. I love it that I am in it,
full plug.
Howell, as
Then
well.
there's
Nice.
may I do another?
Yeah, go
Because
on.
I'm just really happy this morning because the publishers have bothered about maths, which is the
oh,
first book from the mothership. Botheredness book is getting published this spring. So that's been written by Dr. Ed Southall, but obviously I've been working with him on that. So I'm hoping that your listeners would be interested in that. But yeah, everything we've talked about, and thank you for having me on. Everything we've talked about is about keeping motivated and keeping buzzing and keeping everything alive, rather than falling, as you were saying before, Ginny, into some sort of conveyor belt factory experience of education for adults and for children.
yeah. I was going to say that it's for the everybody within school, within the school environment, and that's hard. Oh, and it's a juggling game, but it's just glimmers. Maybe we're looking at
That'll do.
glimmers.
Nice.
Glimmers. There we go. Just catch those glimmers.
Catch those glimmers,
Yeah.
Jenny.
Oh, it's been joyful.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice. You
Well,
see, I'm-
thank you for having me, by the way. Thank you for having me. I've been
No.
really looking forward to this.
Stop it. We're back to the undiluted hot orange squash again. Thank you for having me, because that's what I say.
I'm just waiting for Ginny to say the line that we say at the end, but
I know.
Right.
I
might
know.
have to
Are
hold the
you
crowd
ready,
up
Hywel?
in a
Now,
minute.
the thing
Howell,
is,
I might have to hold it up.
are you ready, Hywel? Because I will say
don't know.
something,
Can't
And we'll-
build it
yeah.
up.
and we'll see if. Should we see if Hywel might be able to end it?
Go on then.
Okay.
Okay, are you ready? So thank you so much, Hywel. It has been absolutely brilliant. It's always a pleasure.
Never a
Never
chore.
go.
Yay! Thank you.
Thanks for joining us this time on Catching Up with Sarah and Ginny.
Always a pleasure and never a chore.